In a previous video, we have seen that medications for ADHD, in particular stimulants, are very effective, at least in the short term, to decrease the severity of the symptoms of ADHD. However, they are not curative. Rather, they are symptomatic, like paracetamol for fever, which decreases the temperature but does not cure the cause of the fever. When ADHD medications are not in the system, the symptoms of ADHD come back. So these, alongside the concerns around the possible side effects of medications and the lack of solid evidence on their long-term effects, has pushed research towards the identification and testing of treatment that may be curative. In this regard, neurostimulation techniques may be promising. Neurostimulation refers to non-invasive brain stimulation approaches that encompass transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, and transcranial direct current stimulation, TDCS. During TMS, a brief electrical current flows through a wire coil, creating a magnet field that passes through the skull and induces a current on the surface of the cortex, the polarizing neurons or their axons. TDCS is another non-invasive neurostimulation method that uses direct electrical current to stimulate a target cortical area. The so-called anodal stimulation leads to an increase, while the so-called cathodal stimulation leads to a decrease in the excitability of underlying neurons. This results in respective increases or decreases in the cortical function and synaptic strength. A large meta-analysis, including 208 randomized trials, showed significant effects of TMS on symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and unipolar depression symptoms. There was also evidence that TDCS was effective for symptoms of substance use disorder and to improve attention and working memory in individuals with schizophrenia. What about ADHD? To date, there is no evidence that TMS or TDCS bring beneficial effects in terms of a decrease in the severity of the core symptoms of ADHD. In fact, a systematic review of TMS studies and of TDCS studies in ADHD, including a meta-analysis of TDS studies, found some significant effects on isolated neuropsychological tasks, but not on behavioral symptoms. More specifically, because of the small number of included studies, neither the clinical effects of TMS and TDCS nor the cognitive effect of TMS and cathodal TDCS could be used for the meta-analysis. Therefore, a meta-analysis was possible only on the cognitive effects of anodal TDCS, on 12 studies. This meta-analysis showed no significant effect on neuropsychological measures of attention and some improvement which failed to reach statistical significance in measures of inhibition and processing speed. Overall, brain stimulation was well tolerated, and the most commonly reported side effects were mild tingling and itching. There is another stimulation technique which may be more promising for ADHD. This is called external trigeminal nerve stimulation, TNS. TNS is a non-invasive device that uses electrical signals to therapeutically stimulate the trigeminal nerve. This nerve has connections to the brain, in particular the reticular activation system, the locus coeruleus, the brainstem, thalamic, frontal and cortical areas, as well as effects on dopamine and noradrenaline. And all these have effects on arousal and also attention and have been implicated in ADHD. TNS was actually approved by the Food and Drug Administration in 2019 as the first non-pharmacological intervention for the treatment of ADHD. The approval was based only on data from a pilot trial, including 62 children, conducted in California. As shown in this figure, after 4 weeks of treatment, there was a significant reduction in the group of children assigned to TNS compared to those assigned to sham, which is a device mimicking TNS but without its effects. The effect size was around 0.5, which will make the effects of this intervention comparable to those of second-line pharmacological treatments, such as atomoxetine or guanfacine. There is another way to express the efficacy of an intervention. This is called the number needed to treat, which indicates the number of patients one needs to treat to see a better response compared to the one you would have with placebo or another type of control, such as a sham in this case. So for TNS in this study, the number needed to treat was 3. As a comparison, the number needed to treat of methylphenidate is around 2. Overall, TNS was well tolerated, and the most common side effects were drowsiness, headache, and increased appetite. However, as this was just a small study in a single geographic location, larger trials from independent groups are needed to establish the effectiveness and safety of this device. 2 large trials are currently ongoing, one in the UK and another one in the USA, but their results are not available yet. Until these results are available, the usefulness of this device for ADHD should be considered with caution, even if it is FDA approved.